I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, March 15th, 2022 meeting of the Frankfurt Plant Board at 5 o'clock. This meeting is being conducted with Zoom. And I'd just like to announce before we do the roll call, this is, if things stay the way they are, this will be our last Zoom meeting. We'll be returning in April to in-person meetings. As our understanding, other public bodies are doing that. And so in April, we'll be returning. So this should be our last Zoom meeting. And with that, Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
Member DeLam?
Here.
Member Cuban?
Here.
Member Mason?
Here.
Member Snyder?
Here.
Member Dutton Mitchell?
Here.
We have a quorum to do business. First item of business is the approval of the minutes for February 15th, 2022. Everybody should have them in front of them, and hopefully have had a chance to take a look at them. Does anybody have any changes, corrections, additions, or deletions? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are approved. Next item, Mr. Denton, give us an update for the financial statements for February 28th, 2022.
Yes, sir. Tonight, before we get started in the financial summary of the plant board, just for a moment, would like Kathy Lindsay to talk about our affordable connectivity program and talk about how that can help our customers with their internet bills. So I'll let Kathy jump in quickly and talk about that program that could help our customers out.
Okay, Ms. Lindsay.
Hi, good evening. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. Somebody needs to know that. Okay. All right. Well, first I want to start out with an ad that we have running. We're running it cross channel, and we've shared it with Frankfurt High School, and they're running it on their video board. I'm sorry, I pulled up the wrong thing. Their video board at the Frankfurt High School gym. And for some reason, the wrong thing is coming up. But let me just talk about this real quick. Maybe I can figure it out. For our viewers who are watching, who are our customers, you might have heard us last year talking about EBB, which was the emergency broadband benefits through the federal government, through the FCC. And as of the end of the year, they changed that to the Affordable Connectivity Program, which is ACP. And one of the biggest change is that it changed from a savings of $50 up to $50 per month to now you can save up to $30 per month on internet service. And we have a lot of people here in Franklin County who are eligible for this because of the parameters they've set. So it's available if there's someone in your household who qualifies for a free or reduced price school lunch, which we know that in our Franklin County, if you have a child in the Frankfurt Independent School District, you qualify. In the Franklin County School District, if you have a child in an elementary school or a middle school, you qualify for this program. But then there's also other things that if you're part of one of the Lifeline programs, if you recipient of SNAP, WIC, or Medicaid, and several other things, and you'll see here on this list, a Pell Grant, Veterans Pension, public housing, you will qualify for this benefit. And again, it's up to $30 per month, and you will get that off of your internet service. And all you have to do is go to fpb.cc/ACP, and there's a direct link on that to tell you exactly how to apply. For those who did apply before the end of the year last year for EBB, they have been automatically switched to this program. And it's just a really important benefit that our customers need to know about, because we have a lot of people in our community who qualify for it. And again, it's a savings of up to $30 per month on internet service. So we have been promoting the program. We've had a billboard up, and we currently have a billboard up about the program. We have ads in the State Journal. We've put an ad in Frank Magazine. We promote it on our social media. We also have it as a Cable 10 bulletin board. It's on our homepage, on our website. And then, like I said, we're also running 30-second spot on our cross channel of cable TV. And we also run it during our game of the week, our video billboard at the Frankfurt High School Gymnasium. And then also, we have in the past when it was EBB, and now we're looking at, now that it's ACP, really making a second run at some community and school engagement to get more people to help us promote it. Anytime I'm out at an event, and I go to a lot of meetings and have the opportunity to speak, I mention it. I share information about it. I share the website. Oh, and it's not on here that I have discussed it. I visit with the radio stations every Friday morning, and it's on my rotation of things to talk about. And so we talk about that. And again, we are looking at new ways to engage with our school superintendents and our school counselors, our principals, to help promote this directly to our students and to our parents. We're making connections with our local parent-teacher organizations to make sure that they have this information that they can also share with their membership. So we want everyone to recognize how important this program is for our community, and that it can save our customers up to $30 a month if they are internet customers. So I am going to once more try to share. Oh, here it is. Can everybody still see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Here's the spot that we have running, just so you get a little bit. It's basically what I've said, but it's a lot prettier than the way I've said it, I'm sure.
FPB knows reliable internet is more important than ever. It lets us work from home, share life with family and friends, and make vital connections online. To help, qualifying customers can now access the new Affordable Connectivity Program and step up to fast, reliable FPB internet at a savings of up to $30 per month. Learn more about this new opportunity. Visit FPB online today.
Kathy,
Yes.
just clarify. When you say if you have a student in Frankfurt Independent or in Franklin County Middle or elementary schools, you're eligible. You're eligible regardless of income, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
Just having someone in your household who goes to one of those schools makes you eligible.
And Kathy, that's because those schools do universal free lunch.
Correct.
Correct. So
that they are part of that, yes,
Right.
reduced and free lunch program.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Seniors being on SSI, did I notice that they qualify also?
Yes, they would.
I saw that, yes, as a qualification.
Do you have to be
Because if you're
over 65, or does under 65 and on SSI qualify?
That I do not know, but that's something that we can look into and make sure that we put it out with the information that we're sharing.
Because if you're on SSI, you automatically get Medicaid. So that would automatically qualify you
That
by
does-
SSI.
Yeah,
Yes.
Pat, over 65, yeah.
No, under 65.
Under 65. SSI, regardless of age, if you're getting SSI, you automatically get Medicaid. So that would qualify you because you would be getting Medicaid.
Do both people in the household have to be on SSI, or just one to qualify?
If you have one person in your household who qualifies for one of those, then you're eligible for this program.
Because I do a lot of work with these type of folks,
Mhm.
so that would be an interesting add-on that they could go and get a discount.
Yeah.
save a little
Absolutely, it's $30 a month.
And it's automatically, Dennis, given as a credit on your bill. You don't get it and have to send it in. You qualify through the federal site, then we get that information and we just take it off the bill every month.
time. Okay.
Yes.
I've never seen that ad, so I'm asking.
Okay, well, great. I'm glad we could share it here tonight, and we'll make sure that it gets shared again. And then we'll continue not only to run it cross-channel, but we'll also share it on our social media. And then that way that if there's anybody else who sees it, we'll have it on our website. It is will be on our website this week. And if anybody wants to just share the website as well, it's fpb.cc/ACP.
Let me ask you another question. I deal a lot with these type of folks. Is there some way that I can insert with my thank you letter, this add to that they should go and try and get this discount, or would that not be cricket?
It's public information. I don't think.
Yeah,
there's
I don't
any-
know why you couldn't share it. And I know we have your information, and we'll be happy to send you a link to that and a link to all the information that you can share with anybody, because that's how we want to promote it. We want people who know about it and who specifically work with folks that they know who qualify for this program to let them know about it, because that's what it's here for.
Well, what I'll do for that is I'll include it in my thank you letter that they can qualify for this, and this is where they need to go. if that
Perfect.
fits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Kathy, for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mr. John, I'll just jump in and give you a brief summary of where we are as of
Okay.
February 28th, 2022. If you look in your financials, in the board packet, you'll notice the financial statements start on page 19. Thought I'd throw some charts together to kind of take these financial statements and put them in some graphical representation for you, just a different look. Some people I know learn things different ways or take in things different ways. Looking at what you'll see there on the screen is percentage change in FPB assets as of February 28th, 22, compared to just a year prior, February 21. You can see there we've condensed the assets into 5 different classes. You can see that 5 of the 8 are positive. There's a lot of moving around in some of these. The one that sticks out is the investments. We have decreased investments by 76%, but those investments, once they matured, were rolled into cash, and we did use that cash to pay down some debt, do debt service, and also invest heavily into capital infrastructure. You notice there at the bottom, we had assets increase just over $6 million year over year, which is a good sign. We're putting our customers' money to use to invest in the system and can keep reliable services to our customers. Looking at the next slide here, if I can get it to work. You gotta love this kind of on the fly deals. See why Kathy tell you what,
Why don't you just go on with your presentation there, Dave?
David, if you break your computer, that's a little bit of reduction in property, plant, and equipment.
it is.
Yeah.
You know what I think we're going to do here is just go, let's just go straight over. You've got the financials. You can see,
Yes.
and I've also provided those charts for you. You got to love the technology, but you can see that year over year, we're pretty much in line with we are revenue wise. We have seen continued increases in expenses over time. And we also have heavy investment in infrastructure. So as revenue stays steady and increase in expenses, we do expect pressure on future rate projections going forward. But we'll get into that heavily as we look at our budget preparation for the year. One thing I did want to talk about with the board, speaking of budget, we have the 22-23 fiscal year coming up. You can see here is a proposed preparation approval timeline. This is kind of the flow that we've had for the last 4 or 5 years. It has worked well. A board definitely can do something different if you would like, but this is just a flow of procedures and preparation of the budget. One of the things to highlight here is that we're expecting to get the draft to the board at the May board meeting. That's May 17th, and the board would have 2 weeks to view that, and we're proposing to have a public meeting on June the 1st. June the 1st from 1 to 5, we think in a 4-hour period, we were able to get through all the budget and discuss it in an open meeting. So whenever the board would like to consider that June 1st date or any other date that would work for the board, that would be great. But I'd be glad to take any questions on the budget or the financials through February.
I would like to emphasize, Dave, and then open it up to everybody else on, obviously on the board input, which Dave's got highlighted there and which is tonight. Be thinking about, I mean, we know that inflation is not going away. And I think the latest figures we looked at, we were clicking along about 7.9. So, you know, we're going to have to deal with some salary issues. Fuel prices are obviously going to be a factor if we continue on. But if there's any projects, issues, things you're interested in, you know, as we've always done, go directly to Dave or Gary, let them know what you're interested in so they can price it out. So we can get all the figures ready and get everything lined up. So when they're putting together a draft, everybody's got in there what they're interested in, whether it's a initiative or a project or whatever. And so we can start pricing those out as soon as we can. And with that, I'll just open it up with any other questions anybody has about the budget process. It's gone pretty smooth, and you know, we know we're going to have pressures in a lot of areas this year, just because of the nature of what's going on nationwide. But you know, we're just going to have to see what it adds up to this first round, and then see where we go from there.
Mr. Chairman, I've got two questions actually. David, first off, looking at the percent change in assets, the big reduction, of course, was in our investments. And I understand that's where we decided to pay off our bonds early and you know, at the earliest possible date, and I think it's 2024, whatever. The second big thing we had was our prepaid expenses went down like $500,000, which is almost a 50% reduction. Where did that come from?
Yes, sir. Most of the prepaid expenses, we have our insurance policy. Once the board approves that and we pay that to our insurance carrier, that is over a year. So we'll book that as a prepaid asset and we expense it month over month as we use it. So that is just a decrease in that balance. That's most of it. And
the other thing I've seen was the looking at the expense side of this chart that you gave us, saw that our administrative cost had gone up like 2.6%. And I know a lot of that, and our insurance, does that reflect what the new inflated price we had to pay for insurance? Is that in here, or is that going to come later?
That does include every month. That amount now is higher because it renews in February. So those new totals do start rolling into the budget in February. Most of our admin expenses are related to are heavily payroll related.
Right.
That is the biggest driver of that increase.
Okay, great. Okay.
Is Nichelle on the call? If not, David, would you make sure and ask Nichelle and maybe let the board know? We know we have to deal with this general inflation.
He's here.
I'm here.
Is Nichelle there? We know we'll have to deal with inflation and general, you know, that whole issue of general staff salaries. Is there anything you see coming up in terms of broader personnel issues that we need to be aware of that's coming down the line that we may have to deal with?
As of right now, no. I have asked my staff to reach out to other agencies to see what their cost of living, if they can give us that information, as well as checking with World of Works and Blair, our consultant. So we're working on everything now.
But in terms of like, I'm even more thinking like internal classification studies, things like that. Are we in pretty good shape there, or we got anything we're gonna have to address there?
So far, we're in pretty good shape. We did have like a handful of positions just that needed to be reclassified, but nothing like we did last budget year. So no.
And is health insurance going along? I mean, we're obviously self-funded. Is health insurance tracking about what we thought, or how's that look?
David, are you able to answer that? Our claims were higher last year, but I had no thoughts on increasing the employees, especially with inflation and everything, your contributions. So
yes, sir. We did have a health insurance budget at 3.1 million, and we are on track to stay within that budgetary figure. So we're staying on track as of now.
Okay, gotcha. What about other board members? Anybody else has any questions, comments, suggestions? And like I said, if there's areas you're interested in, I'd suggest if you flow them to David and Gary so they know what you're interested in, they can start pricing it and working with you on that proposal. Then you can decide if you want to offer it up. So any other board member questions? One last question, David, coming out of, we always got one more month sort of winter here, we're bills. How are we doing in terms of, have past dues gone up, or have we, are we carrying bigger balances coming out of the winter, or how we look?
We have kind of stalled. We're hanging around the $1.1 million year, month over month rolling of past due balances. But we are continuing to get payments in the door, payment plans being worked through by our customer service reps with working with our customers. So it's just a matter of bills are increasing as we go into the winter months. It is expensive. Usage goes up. We have not had an electric rate increase since July of 2017. So all of the increase in customer electric bills is due to usage. So the increased bills is contributing to that kind of a stalling of a decrease in our historical rolling, usually roll over 780,000 a month. But we are seeing some positive signs. I mean, bad debt is decreased from a year ago. So we're moving towards more of a pre-COVID stance.
Okay. Any questions for David? Okay, if not, was that all in your presentation, Dave?
Yes, sir. I had a lot of good stuff for you, but you've got it in your hand. You've got it in your hand, and we'll be together soon next month.
Okay. We need a motion to accept the financials.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Financials are accepted. Mr. Crow, you're our honored guest today. You've asked to speak to us, so you're on, sir.
Great, thank you. I read in the paper that you were thinking about putting in some of these charging stations for these electric vehicles. Is that correct?
Well, where we're at right now, Dennis, and the board's not taking any final action. The last 2 years, I think at least the last 2 years, and Ben can correct me, we have put in electric charging stations. We've funded them. The city's determined the location, and then the city has paid for the electric. Coming up this year, that could be one of a project we fund, but I think the board will consider. There's apparently going to be a considerable amount of federal money available for EV charging stations nationwide, which could cover the cost of those charging. And I think in talking with city officials, especially the mayor, and I'm certainly not speaking for him, I know he is definitely interested from a tourism standpoint to go with the level 3 chargers, which are the higher speed ones, because people aren't going to come to town and sit there for 9 hours to get their car charged. So I know he's got some thoughts on the level 3. We'll be in communication with him between now and the budget, because there's two things there. One, are they willing to pay the electric? And of course, they have the option to put meters on them and charge and get their money back for the electric. And do they want us to apply for these grants? And if so, how many are they interested in having on site in the city? And we obviously have deferred to them in terms of the best locations. So that's a long answer, but I think, does that kind of address it?
Well, yeah. Well, the mayor's highly interested because he happens to drive one of those kind of cars. That's why he wants a level 3. My question is, do you know when you might be doing it? And do you know what they cost per unit to install? The cost of the unit plus the installation?
Well, I don't have any figures for any new ones because those grants, the federal government has not released the RFPs to apply for them. But if Vint Foster's on, either Vint or Travis can tell you what the cost is, and depending on the location, what they cost. Vint?
Yeah, Travis can correct me if I'm off here, but it seems like the level 2 chargers are somewhere around 20,000 to 24,000, something like that to install. Is that correct, Travis? And about, depending on location, it could be for the fast DC chargers, it could be anywhere around 65, 70 or so. But of course, it's very location dependent on when you do the full install. Travis, do you have better numbers?
Yeah, on the level 2 is about 10,000 for the equipment, so the 20,000 per station would include those line extensions where needed. But yeah, that's kind of what we typically budget for level 2. And then, like you said, on the DC fast, somewhere in that neighborhood of, we're thinking in that 60,000.
So it's 60,000 for a total install, product plus installation fees. Is that right?
That's
That
You said?
correct for a fast DC charger. Yes, sir.
And how do you plan, how are they going to be paid for other than the grant?
Well, if we didn't do the grant, the ones we've funded up to now, we've paid for out of our budget as a
Okay.
public service as part of our electric.
Okay, I've got a couple of ideas. Have you thought about co-op marketing them? What I was thinking about is maybe putting them in some of these restaurant areas where they could co-op and say, we got 5 of these stations and they can pay part of it, and then the plant board could pay the other part, and it would give them a good marketing tool. You know, stop here, we have charging stations, and if you go to the 3, it's what, 30 minutes, somebody said, I think, to charge on a 3.
somewhere in that neighborhood. Yeah, that's ballpark correct.
So I think I was thinking about Cracker Barrel and some of these restaurants, you know, with these things becoming more popular. When these people use those public chargers, are they charged for the electricity?
Not currently on the ones we have deployed right now because the city is paying for the usage. So it's free to the driver currently.
All right. Well, let me ask you, most of us probably sitting in this on this Zoom meeting have got fossil fuel for propulsion rather. I went out and looked on the internet, and it said that the federal road tax was 26 cents a gallon, and the state road tax was 26 cents a gallon, which is 52 cents. So every time you put fuel in your car, it's 52 cents a gallon. Most cars have got a 20-gallon tank. My thought process is, if we have to pay for road tax, then I think the electric cars ought to pay for road tax. So as soon as they would insert their credit card into one of these units, the first charge that comes up is $10.40. That's the road tax for the federal and the state, because I don't think that anybody is going to be able to not ride on the roads if they have an electric car versus a fossil fuel, and then charge them for the electricity on top of that. What do you all think of that idea?
Well, actually, and Mr. Snyder is our resident expert, Dennis.
Thanks.
But the General Assembly has
Actually, yeah, I can,
considered
John, I
tax,
can take this one if you want me to.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah, right now, the state of Kentucky the federal government does not charge electric vehicles any highway user fees at all. The federal gasoline tax is actually 18.3 cents per gallon. It has not changed since 1993. It's probably not going to change anytime soon. You're right. Kentucky's total gas tax is 26 cents. 24 and change of that goes to our road fund to pay for highways. Like I said, there's no federal tax on electric vehicle charging per se. There is a bill before the General Assembly it's a House bill that is over in the Senate. It's House Bill 8. It would impose both a battery reclamation charge on electric vehicles for the environmental part of disposing of the batteries, much like the waste tire fee. And it would also charge, I think, 3 cents a kilowatt hour for electric vehicle charging that's done by a dealer. Now, I was just going to tell the members that I've kind of been talking to Annette DuPont Ewing and TNUA. The way that's defined right now is that a dealer is anyone who distributes this energy, not necessarily someone who sells it. So people who are in our position where the city has taken, we just meter it and give the bill to the city, we would have to, that tax would have to be imposed on that metered charge the way the bill's written right now. I think they're going to work with sponsors to see if they can exempt out cities that do this gratis. But I think eventually, Mr. Kroll's right. There's going to have to be something done, and the city's not going to pay for, the more and more of these stations we get in, the city's not going to pay for the electricity, down the line. I mean, they're just not going to. It's going to have to be some kind of thing that we can collect that tax. And like I said, House Bill 8 does impose a 3 cents per kilowatt hour tax. And Gary, what are we looking at on a like a Chevy Volt or something, mid-sized car? What we could be looking at in terms of the average fill up on electricity? What would that 3 cents per kilowatt hour end up being?
Yeah, the boat, as I know, there's a small Chevrolet boat. It's
Right.
a 60 kilowatt, probably like a 250-mile one charge. Yes.
Right.
But the bigger ones would go, I mean, that one right there, 3 cents. So you look at $1.80 in road tax on that. So, and whenever we'd have to collect, we would certainly collect. So, that's kind of where it is right now. The thing is though, we can't impose that tax. That tax has to be imposed by the state. And it looks like it's going to be imposed now for the first time. So, we can't do that, unilaterally and just start charging people for, extra fee. We can charge, I guess we can charge whatever we want to. We can't suddenly say, this is road tax money because the state does not charge a tax on these electric charging stations that are out there.
Well, the thing about it is if Buttigieg is trying to kick this thing in at 30% of the public or 30% of the cars on the road are going to be electric and they're not going to be charged for anything, how are we going to keep up the roads with no road tax, federal or state? That's going to be a major issue. I don't know whether they'll reach 30%, but any percentage that they use, they're not paying a road tax as you are going to the gas stations and filling up because you don't have a choice. You put the thing in the tank and wham, the road tax comes up on both sides, plus your cost of fuel. And I think it would only be fair that they pay the same road tax we do. Now, we may not have any control about doing it, but I think it ought to be strongly encouraged to our legislators that they do charge that. I'm sure you get some kickback from the feds with the current administration and the way they.
No, I don't think that's an issue. A lot of states have done it. The feds are fine with it. Now, are the feds going to impose any kind of gas tax? I'm speaking of that.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Are they going to impose a federal, charge at EV stations that are out there in the public, much like the 18.3 cents federal gas tax? I don't know if they will or not, but like I said, the state can obviously will. Now, some states do it. Oklahoma, I think we're modeling this one after. What most other states do is they charge a flat fee at the time of registration. They kind of figure out how many miles a car would drive. The number ranges anywhere from $100 to $150 to $200 in some locations, based on what an average car might pay gasoline tax, and they pay that at the time of registration. It goes into the road fund. House Bill 8 kind of attacks it a different way, but what you don't get there is you only collect the tax on what's done at the public charging station, and you don't collect anything when somebody charges their vehicle at home. So
right. What do you think about the co-op and marketing at these restaurants?
I think it's a good idea. And Mr. Chairman,
motels.
One other thing too, in terms of that is this grant program. The states have to submit a plan to the federal government about how they're going to handle it. We have another bill going through the General Assembly now, Senate Bill 347, that will essentially require that to come before the Interim Joint Committee on Transportation legislature. I think that has to be submitted by August 1st. One of the things that's in there is, there's a debate right now about whether these things, right now there's a prohibition from the federal level about putting charging stations or anything like that at rest areas. There's a prohibition against any kind of fueling station at the highway rest area. The other part of that is that the federal has a minimum 80-20 grant match. Some state, there's some thought process to where if it's a public agency like us, a city or a municipal utility, that maybe the plan might have an 80-20 match for us, but if a private contractor wanted to do this as a business proposition, maybe that match would have to be higher. But that's it's just in the planning stages. They're trying to figure out what they want to do with it, and like I said, the plan is going to be submitted here in the summertime, so we'll know more once that plan gets submitted.
Is there a reason that the city's paying for the electric and the install is because there's nothing in concrete that the consumer can pay for that? Is that the reason for that?
No, they could, Dennis, the technology is there without any problem at all on the current meters to install the capacity or the capability to charge right now with the credit card. When the first ones were put in, the city was interested in it. They were interested in putting them downtown to attract business. People come downtown to the History Center or whatever, and they offered to pay for them what we've tried to do at this point is nothing written in stone, is we've tried to stay out of the location. We've tried to provide the units as a public service, but we've tried to stay out of the economic development and location business to defer to them and say, you know, where they ought to be at the Hampton Inn for people staying overnight, or like you said, at Parkside or at Franklin Square or wherever people might get off, stay as an attraction to bring people to town. Because apparently there are national maps showing where these stations are. And we've tried to say, you will fund it. You all do the decision making in terms of where it makes the best financial sense for the city to help the city. And we've kind of stayed out of the location business, figuring they had more expertise than us through the chamber and so forth. So
Wouldn't it be a good marketing ploy though to go out to these people and say, hey, we'll do,
Oh yeah, I don't disagree at all. No, that's and that's something we can certainly look at. And like I said, at the current time, I think we're up in the air. And of course, if you just heard us describe our budget process, we'll be talking about it. But we've advised the city informally that our thinking right now is if there's going to be, I think, what was it, John, $3 billion nationally for EV charging?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, if there's going to be that kind of money, rather than us spending ratepayer money to put them in, we ought to take advantage of the federal funds and then see what the market is here and how many we might qualify for and where they can go. And I do think the city is open to the idea of not continuing to foot the bill on the electric.
Which is the general consumer, right?
Right.
Okay, because they're not paying my gas bill.
That's right.
I mean, I understand everybody's looking for a free lunch.
Yeah.
The problem is it's not free.
Mm-hmm.
Not free to everybody.
Right.
And that's what I was looking at because I've been listening to the national news and they just want to put, 75 charging stations around the country, and the federal governments want to pay for them. Well, the question is that money's got to come out of somewhere. It's probably going to come out of the road department or road funds. And so something's not going to get fixed, bridges, roads, or airports because of these charging stations. And I think if you use them, you pay for them.
So,
John.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I think his idea is a good idea with the with the businesses, and I think the city commission probably would look favorably on that because they're in the economic development business, and they could probably set up some kind of grant program that's in partnership with businesses.
And we'll make sure, Dennis, that our discussion tonight, that we get our discussion tonight, the transcript of it out of our minutes, and we'll get that over to the city and let them know about the discussion tonight and your ideas. And like I said, I know we're going to be having some discussions with them some more in the next 3 or 4 months as we put the budget together. So I appreciate, I appreciate, one, it was good to see you tonight. Two, kind of appreciate your thoughts on this.
You know what it's costing right now to the plant board for the stations that are out there for electricity per month?
Well, it's not costing us anything. The city's paying that.
Oh, the city's paying that. Oh, so
the city's paying the electric. Yeah, we're not.
So you're just doing the install?
We're paying the capital. We pay the upfront cost of the charger and the install, and then they just connect it. So the city is paying the tab each month.
And that gentleman that's not on there now said a number 2 is around 20 to 30, and a number 3 is $60,000 per unit. Did
Correct.
I hear that correctly?
Mm-hmm.
And you're paying that?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Well, we haven't yet paid for a level 3.
I don't think we paid. What did we pay for the one we put in? Because we just put the entry level one in. It wasn't that costly.
No, that was the budget before
$10,000.
And we've got a level 3. We've got a level 3 budgeted in the current year budget.
But the ones we already have in are the entry level ones. And then to answer his question, they weren't
Is
that
it
costly.
$10,000 per unit, roughly?
Yeah. Yes.
And how many units are in?
There's 3 in currently. 3 of the lower units. The DC charger has been, I believe, Travis, you can correct me, I believe it's been purchased, hasn't it? We're finalizing the location stuff, and I believe the order's been made. It's supposed to be in another month or so.
Right. That's right, man.
So you've already spent $30,000 then for the ones you have in?
Yes. So, well, Dennis, I think if there's if you've any others got, if not, I think we probably need to move on here.
No, that's fine. I just saw that you were doing it, and I just got to thinking, well, I think we all ought to share the load, and so I wanted to give you my input. But then I also thought from a marketing point of view, if Cracker Barrel wants to put 5 in, that should be up to them if they're going to help pay for them.
Yes.
Or if the hotels don't need a 3,
Yes.
you only need 2s because they're going to spend overnight. They could be appropriated for the use they're going to have. Where Cracker Barrel may need 2 or 3 3s, and Quality Inn or Hampton Inn may only need 4 or 5 2s. It would help, share and bring people in as a marketing tool. It would be a good marketing tool for Frankfurt that we probably have 40 charging stations when you come here to visit.
Yep.
We can all get on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, sir, we appreciate it.
I appreciate the invite. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good to have you tonight. Talk to you later.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Okay, buddy. Okay, next one, number 5, informational items, department reports. Mr. Foster, you're going to be the master of ceremonies?
Yes, sir. I will do it.
Okay.
We'll start with the telecom report. It's on page 89 to 92 of your board package. Just briefly there, we had 3 outages for February. 2 were interference related, affecting a couple of customers, multiple customers on those, and 1 was a water damage on a line extender module. But generally, the cable trouble call was down for the month. You can see as well. I'll have Adam jump in if you're fine and give a next band report on our progress, how we're doing with that.
Good afternoon. The underground crews have started in Silver Lake 1 subdivision. The overhead crews are finished up some backbone fiber. So for the east side of town. We also have aerial crews in Crestwood. We just activated and finished testing and are now ready for service in Ridgeview area and part of Indian Hills. So that's basically the report. We're trying to get crews in here and speed some things up. We do have an additional underground crew and additional aerial crew, but of course they started last week when we were having some bad weather. So hopefully we can get those guys in and get everything kind of moving in the right direction with the good weather we're having.
How are we doing on getting parts and supplies in?
We're doing pretty good. It's spotty. Like we have some MDU, which is a multi-dwelling unit, apartment units. There's some specialty hardware we need for those. We're having a challenge getting some of that because of back orders. A lot of stuff to do with plastic steel. And so we've had some orders come in those areas, and we're doing some temporary work, not so much inside the apartment units, but on the outside. And then when those materials come in, we can go in and make the necessary changes as we need to. So we're managing right now.
Okay. Any questions for Adam? And you're keeping the county updated on how we're moving on their project, right?
Yeah, right now it's pretty much no news. I mean, we still have some stuff, we're working through some engineering stuff, but I mean, it's kind of until we hear something official.
No word on the grants yet?
No.
Okay, I'll continue on with electric if the board doesn't have any other questions, but I would comment on Adam's experience or comment there about, availability of materials and equipment. That's kind of what we're seeing across the board is 1 week you'll have a hard time getting a particular item, and next week it'll be something else, and the next week, and we just kind of juggle around and try to, if we get a heads up, we try to order things a little bit ahead. And, so far we're able to keep moving along, but there's always this looming thing that we think we're going to run out of something, and then we so far have been able to keep going. But actually, that's kind of what we've been seeing for a while. We're getting kind of used to it, unfortunately. The electric report is on page 97 to 100. The crews are working on installing AMI towers and the tower gateway base stations to continue working with our AMI staff. We're working on the Tiger Grant down on 2nd Street and at various customer locations around our service territory. Our safety number for the month was 26.197. Total outages were 14, affecting 131 customers. And if the board is okay, I will let Travis jump in and give you an AMI update right now.
One other question, Ben, real quick.
Yes,
on the Tiger Grant 2nd Street project, how's that doing in terms of towards completion?
I don't know percentage. Do you know, Travis, where we're at totally? The water department is finished, I'm pretty sure, with theirs, if I'm correct, but the electric department and telecom are having to work as they make streets available to us to work down through there. If we could just go in and go, beginning to end, we could probably finish up fairly quickly, but we're having to kind of move they make adjustments, and obviously have to allow customers and folks to be able to get in and out of those areas. So Travis, do you know what percentage we are on electric anyway?
Yeah, I think we're still several months out. I'm kind of like you. I don't know exact percentage wise. I think we don't have a long distance to go, but we're kind of in the slowest going part because we're trying to do streetlight conduits, trenching through the middle of the road. That type of work just is inherently takes us longer. So by footage, I think we've gotten a big chunk of it done. It's just we're kind of in the slowest going section right now, so it's going to be several months out before we're out of there.
Okay. Did we skip over customer service, Ben?
We can go back and do that one. Usually we've generally done these others and come back to
Okay,
that.
whatever, however you want to do it, however you got it set up.
It's fine. Travis, do you want to give the AMI report real quick? And we'll...
Yep, absolutely. We are at 6,400 electric installs and a little over 3,200 for water. That's about 30 and 20% respectively. We're similar boat as the next band project. Material deliveries are spotty, but as we receive material, we're putting it out there. We've gotten enough to, kind of keep the project moving. We'll shift deployment plans around, move from electric to water, back and forth, whatever we need to do to just kind of keep things moving forward, and foresee it being that way for a little while longer.
Okay, I'll just finish up the electric stuff. If the board doesn't have any questions on the AMI stuff, and we'll jump back to customer service and then continue on. The CEPA report is page 101 to 103. And for the month of January, we cleared $210,876. $210,876. So again, new calendar year, that's the first one on there. But as you saw last month, we finished up last year at 1.43 million, which is the best fiscal year we've had with CEPA so far. And so that ended well. I think last year we had 829,000 budgeted. So we will see how this year goes. If the board doesn't have any electric questions, I will ask Cassie if she wants to come in and give us the customer service report.
Good evening, members of the board. The customer service reports are on pages 93 to 96 of your board packet. The normal things to note that Kathy touched on earlier, our ACP program. Currently, we're up to 551 participants with that. And that does include any new signups we've had or anyone that transitioned over from the EBB program as it was initially known. But as she stated, we want to continue to encourage everyone to apply for that, especially people that don't realize they qualify because of the school lunch program that the program offers. For payment plans, we are for payment arrangements or holds. Those are reduced down to just 379 accounts. So as David stated, we're moving towards being back to normal past due levels and having normal limits of accounts that are on hold. So it's significant progress in the last 2 years. And then we do continue to receive payments from the Kentucky Housing Program. We're up to 503 customer specific payments that total a little over $760,000 for that program that we've received to assist people with the payment of their utility bills. There are still funds available through city and county grants that the local agencies are facilitating those applications for. So we would continue to encourage customers to apply if those circumstances apply to them. And in regards to AMI, customer service is starting to see the efficiencies of the AMI. We don't have a lot in place yet. As Travis stated, we're about 29% with electric and 19% with water, but we're already seeing the ability to give customers information in a more timely manner or to give them reread information if they request it, things of that nature. So those things will continue to improve the more we get into that system. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you all might have.
Does anybody on the board have any questions for Cassie? Cassie, thank you. As always, good report.
Thank you.
Okay, Gary, you gonna do KYMEA?
Yes,
Okay.
KVME had a regular board meeting, and also they have a called all requirement project committee meeting, which is discussing to try to set a new rate for next year. I believe that committee already have more than 2 meetings, but we will continue to have a 1 or 2 more meeting to finish that. But overall, one thing I do want to know, currently because the natural gas price went to from $2 something become close to 5, and coal price also more than doubled, and the power price in the market also went up probably 65 to 70% compared to 6 months ago. So QMA did see quite a bit of pressure for their cost increase. So they work around that. That's why it makes it difficult to work on that committee, try to set a new rate for all of us. I cannot forecast, predict how much will be. The rate will be higher than last year. I personally hope no more than 3% increase, but we will see what happens. But the KYME cost compared last year probably going to be like a 15% at least currently.
And so far, because of KYMEA's contracts and everything that was in place, so far we've been able to shield our customers from those increases, right?
Correct. Instead, we expose the market directly, go to 65, 70%. Our costs are probably going to go up like 15%. But still, because we buy the agreement, even the price is all like lock it down, right? But we, part of agreement, we have to pay their system average fee. So if their coal price doubled, the fuel cost piece, particularly don't have a long-term contract, those will be passed to us. Not just, this is probably across the board. I suspect that the co-op, investment utility in Kentucky, all going to have the pass-through fuel cost. But until so far, we are okay because my personal view, another part is KYME does have some cash accumulated for last 3-year operation. My personal view is it's a good time to use that to try to move forward minimum impact to all the ratepayer, not just us, all the members ratepayer. So we will say, I mean, I will report to the board what exactly going to look like, but personally, I want you, my target is like around 3%. But when I say that, I want you to understand that 3% means the KYMEA budget increase for 3%. Each individual utility, the percentage may be a little higher and the other lower, particularly when they say the cost, their capacity went down, and the energy costs go up. So when you shift that cost, the higher load factor load like us or some other member may say the cost increase higher than the average cost. I'm not sure that makes sense.
When do you think we'll have some firm figures to look at?
We might take another month to 2 because right now some of the other board member may want to say until like early May period of time, because one part of concern is how bad the impact will be right now, right? We will see more. And also there are other part we can see more is because the power market went up 65, 70%, also because right now we still have the 100% megawatt from Illinois Power, and also Big River 100. So we have, KYME has the capability to sell to the market more than what we needed for our retail load. Those actually is very good cash, surplus revenue. QMA. So there another side of story is we want to say how bad it looks like wholesale cost increase, how bad the fuel cost increase will be, and how good the benefit we can, cash reserve wise.
Right.
So it's all the three P's going to impact our bottom line rate.
Right.
So in that perspective, I'm okay to wait a little longer because I hate to rush into charge more than necessary. Right. Yes.
Gotcha.
Hope that makes sense to y'all.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions for Gary?
I don't have a question. I just appreciate Gary's advocacy and would encourage him to continue on that vein of utilizing the reserves in this instance, because that's exactly what they're for. I mean, obviously, we don't want to be left without reserves for emergency, but I appreciate you advocating for that and continuing to do that.
Thank you.
And I think probably it's important to point out, if KYMEA spends some of their reserves, that's not spending our reserves. That's just spending, all the 10 cities will still have their reserves. This would just be KYMEA reducing some of their reserves, which we're the backstop for them anyway. I mean, we need the reserves in case we'd have a problem to pay their bill. As long as we're paying our bill, KYMEA is fine anyway. So that doesn't jeopardize their financial stability either. So let's go on to safety.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. The safety report starts on page 106, 105 and continues to page 106. For the month of February, OSHA recordables, we sustained 2. Telecoms department employees sustained an ankle injury while slipping on an icy surface in a customer's residential yard. The injury resulted in medical treatment and restricted duty. Our second recordable was a water treatment plant employee that sustained a minor head injury from a low clearance object, and that also resulted in medical treatment. As far as our vehicle accidents for the month of February, there were none to report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, water distribution.
Brian, are you on? There you go.
Yes, sir. I didn't know if you had it or if you wanted me to go with it.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Besides the normal reports, on page, let me get this opened up. I don't have the page number here, but besides our normal,
page 107 to 109.
Page 107 to 109. Besides that report there, crews were working on Highland Parkway. We're about 60% complete there. We also have crews that are working. Hold on. My other phone was ringing. I'm sorry. The 30-inch line in the back of the reservoir has been completed, and I'll take any questions.
How's the reservoir in terms of time frame and schedule? How are we doing on it?
Well, Sharmista's got an update that she was going to give.
Okay.
I can jump in if you'd like me to. We held our last progress meeting last week on March 10th, and right now the project is about 76% complete. And last month I reported that it was a lot of moving dirt, and that's basically the same thing. They're still working on backfilling around the tank and excavating for the future retaining wall. And plan work for the next month also includes basically moving a lot more dirt. But this long wait that we've been talking about for so long about materials, waiting for materials and so forth, ours is finally, we've got a kind of a light at the end of the tunnel. We've received most of our materials to do our part of the work, which is the line stop and the bypass line and installing that cross and valves. I think we've received quite a bit of those materials, so we're actually getting ready to get started on our part of the work. So while we're getting ready for our part of the work, the contractor has to kind of wait for us to get our part done before they can continue with their part. So now that we have materials, we've talked, that was one of our big discussions during our progress meeting last week, was to update the schedule. So we had approximately about a 4-month wait on those materials. So they're going to take that wait into consideration, going to be updating the schedule, and I'll be able to give a little bit better update next month, but it will be pushed back due to that, due to the wait. So we'll see. I'll be able to, like I said, I'll be able to give you more information next week when the contractor provides their updated schedule. So, but we're excited to have most of our materials in, and we're ready to get moving on our part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any question?
Mr.
Brian,
Cubine.
Mr. Yeah.
On the front side of the reservoir, our range line is going to be coming in next week. And so we're going to get started with the line stop saddles. So we're really excited about getting started on that work in the front.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for Brian or Sharmista?
Mr. Chairman,
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
John?
hey,
Yes,
I
sir.
just want to take a second. Sharmista, thank you for responding. I had an email from one of our customers who knows me personally about some work going on at the reservoir yesterday, some concerns. Sharmista, I think, had already talked to the person about that. I forwarded. I just want to thank you for taking care of that so quickly. I appreciate that very much.
No problem.
There's no other questions. I'll do the water treatment plant report,
Okay.
and then we're get with the knock if that will be fine. The month of February, the water treatment plant treated 199.64 million gallons of water for an average daily production of 7.13 million gallons per day. Lock 4 averaged 21.956 cubic feet per second for a daily average of 13.95 billion gallons per day going by Lock 4. And there were 2.7 inches of rainfall recorded for the month of February. I'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have on that, or certainly Julie's here that she can jump into if you need that. And if not, I will turn it over to Darren at NOC.
Any questions for Vint or Julie on water treatment? Okay, Vint, you and Darren?
Yeah, good evening. The NOC report for February, it looks like the locators are starting to get busy as spring rolls in. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get to the number here. In February, we had 362 locates, and January was a 395 locates. So kind of slow through the winter, like we'd expect. But I just looked today, and already halfway through March, we're approaching the 300 mark. So we're on track to be, much busier as spring and hopefully some dry weather rolls in. On the network operations side, it looks like in February, we took 1,557 phone calls. So fairly busy month, about standard. But also with the NOC staff, I'd kind of like to, they deserve a little bit of kudos. I've got a couple of responses from customers lately. One was a gentleman that wanted to reach out because he said the NOC person was so nice. He called 2 or 3 times. He had a TV issue, really nothing related to any of our stuff, but the person kept him on the phone and worked with him until they got it resolved. So he was happy about that. And then the other person I know reached out to say they had inquired about some pricing or services, stuff that customer service would normally do, but they went to the web portal and sent an email at night. And it was like, I don't know, 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and got an immediate response back. So that was kind of neat to them. And they made the point, and I guess it's a good valid point. What business do you know that you can go to their webpage and send an email 24/7, 365, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning or Christmas Day, and someone's going to respond right back to you, and someone local, someone in your own town. So they were surprised actually that happened, and asked if that was normal. And I said, yeah, obviously our priority is for outages and trouble calls and that sort of thing, but also any customer service help that we can provide. So they were happy with that. Sometimes, they'll always get an answer. Sometimes it might not be the answer they want, or they might not like the answer, but they'll get a response anyway. So anyway, the NOC staff handled a couple of those situations really well. And I wanted to pass that along because they're sight unseen, they're there every day, every hour, and you don't really think about it a lot, but they're chipping away at it.
Well,
that's all I have for my report.
Darren, I'd like to echo what John said. Is I had a neighbor, a friend, who was having some TV problems the other day, and they asked me. I called it in for him. I mean, the person was unbelievable. Knew exactly where the street was. Knew everything going on. I mean, they were not only were they polite, they knew they were knowledgeable, handled it all, and you got a good team there. You really do.
Glad to hear that. It makes my job easy. I'm glad we have.
So, any questions of Darren?
Thank you.
Okay, Vint, is that all you got there? Not all. I mean, obviously it was a lot. I mean, is there anything else?
Well, that covers our departmental report, sir.
Okay. Let's go to the action items. Oh,
John,
yes, sir.
Listen, I know we had Mr. Kroll talk during the public comment period, but we also had the one website comment. And I was going to ask a question about that.
Sure.
Gentleman that lived on Taylor Branch Road was concerned about, you know, of course, he's outside the city limits, but, you know, wants to know about providing service. Did anybody talk to him about that? What service did he want? And, you know, did we resolve that?
Yeah, this customer was wanting internet service, and we actually, a lot of those come through. It's not just through the web portal, but we get those come through customer service, and then we'll forward them out to engineering. Engineering will look at the address and see what it costs, if it's possible to build to them, if there's any plans in the future, and so the engineering staff reach out and talk to the customer, and you know, kind of let them know what was going on, explains a little bit about the grant program and how that could possibly, you know, possibly get them service in the future.
Okay, was this an address that is going to get taken care of eventually, or is this one of the expanded addresses that?
I believe this would be one of the addresses would get taken care of eventually. And
Okay.
Plant Board's original kind of.
Right, in our original group, okay, great. Thank you. I just wanted to follow up on that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on? Okay, if not, item 6.1, consider approval of change order number 1 for the reservoir substation site work. Travis?
Good evening again, members of the board. In October, the board awarded a construction contract to Groves Electric Services for substation foundation work. Many of the original designs were for drilled piers, which was the least cost method for those types of structures. Initial test drilling did not, however, reveal unsuitable fill material below the surface. Based on the contractor's findings and further independent geotechnical investigation, the civil engineer for the project has redesigned those foundations to a spread footer type. The revised design will require quite a bit more concrete to complete the work. So that is the reason for the change order. Again, this is in the amount of $63,101. Staff and the project engineer have both reviewed the change order and recommend approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
And this is within the budgeted project, correct?
We should be okay on budget. The total project budget was over $1 million, so we, you know, should be well within contingency here. I think we'll be okay.
Okay. Any questions for Travis?
Yeah, John, I've got one.
Yes, sir.
Travis, Groves in the documentation here, Groves has an exception about being responsible for you know, bracing and shoring. Is that an issue? Is that an issue with this change order, or has that been resolved, and has that responsibility been meted out, or?
I think it's been mitigated as well as can be. The project engineer did review that. We discussed it quite a bit at length, at how they can do some different shoring methods to limit any chances. So there's some new equipment foundations that are there in the site that they had already done before this issue came up. So again, I think it's pretty low risk. I think we can work around it and not create any more issues than what we're already trying to deal with. I think we'll be able to take care of it.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. Any other questions for Travis? If not, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the change order number 1 for reservoir substation site work.
Do we have a second?
So moved.
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Order's approved. Thank you, Travis. Next one is item 6.2, consider approval of allocating $50,000 in the 2022-23 budget for the shared access road for the Franklin County Humane Society. Vince's going to discuss this, and I just want to add before then, I would like to thank Sam Marcus, because as you know, this has been going on for 3-4 months, and Sam's kept in regular contact, let us know what was going on, sent us correspondence, you know, gave us, you know, weeks and weeks ahead of time, lead time as what was going on, what they were looking at. So, you know, they've tried to keep us posted, and this is obviously a much anticipated project. So, Vint, you want to take it?
Yes, sir. Just to give a little update for the folks that may be watching, I'll give just a little background. So the design and the pricing have been developed for the Franklin County Humane Society access road. The use of the road will be shared between multiple entities, and thus the Humane Society is requesting that all the entities involved participate in the road cost appropriate to their specific use and benefit. Of the shared access, only a limited portion of the shared access road will be used by the Frankfurt Plant Board, but we have requested a wider and heavier construction on that particular area to handle the trucks that we might eventually have in that area as it pertains to the access to our property. The Humane Society is requesting that the Frankfurt Plant Board participate in the costs associated only with Section 1, which is our shared area that we would be using. The City of Frankfurt has indicated that they will pay for maintaining all 4 sections of the road. And staff has reviewed the request as well as the road details and the pricing information, and we find the request to be reasonable. If approved, the funds would be earmarked in the upcoming Frankfurt Plant Board 22-23 budget for the Franklin County Humane Society and specifically for the road construction. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have or go into more details if you would like me to.
And Catherine, did you have a question you wanted to ask or something you wanted to add about the cost?
Well, I would just point out that it's actually beneficial for us to go in on this together. We're saving maybe, what, 35 grand if we had to build that road ourselves and not share the road. And then on top of it, saving the cost of maintenance because we won't be maintaining it. So, I mean, it's great that we can help the Humane Society, but it's also very cost beneficial for us.
That's very true. Would be about $86,000 if we built that portion of the road just for our use. And so if we did it, we would build it right next to us would be a road just for the Humane Society. Both entities, if we did that, I feel would be, wasting the money that we could share in a particular access road, which is what the city's involved as the sewer department has some equipment in the back and they're involved as well. So I think all the entities are working together, it appears to me, on this. And I think it really benefits all the different organizations to do it this way. Again, if the plant board went out on its own to build this entrance to its property, it would be $86,000. So to do $50,000 here, again, it's a larger portion, but for our piece, we are asking for a wider road, a denser base, a stronger road, because we will have semis that will deliver heavier equipment there than what necessarily Humane Society needed. But overall, I do believe this is a cost savings for all the different entities involved if we work together.
Any other questions of Vint? If not, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion's approved. Next item, 6.3. Consider award of bid invitation number 1744 underground cable to Cape Electrical Supply in amount of $32,300. Jennifer Heller.
Good evening. Staff prepared a bid for some underground cable. Sorry, I had some feedback. Okay, and we prepared a bid for underground cable, and this is just a normal inventory item. So this order would be to replenish what we've used for new development or any replacements for damage. We sent the bid to directly to 10 vendors, as well as our normal advertising. We received 3 responses. After staff evaluated all the bids, the low bidder is recommended for award, which is Cape Electrical, and the tab sheet is attached.
What did this price compare to what we've been getting, Jennifer? Was the price up or down or about the same? Or
this was about the same for this size wire. The bigger cable is what we're seeing a lot higher prices on and really long lead times. And a lot of those are even coming out with, you have to have a minimum order. We can't get some of the smaller runs that we want, but this cable it's a smaller cable. It hasn't been as much.
Okay. Any questions for Jennifer? Is this a company we've dealt with before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All of the bidders are normal vendors for items.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Contracts awarded. Item 6.4, consider approving Weather Channel renewal. Harvey, it wouldn't be a meeting without you, buddy. What you got?
Good to see you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staff and the Cable Advisory Committee recommend approval of the Weather Channel renewal. This is an NCTC agreement with a term through February 28th, 2026. The renewal affords FPB the opportunity to maintain our current Weather Channel subscriber rate for the remainder of 2022, and the annual increases, which begin in January of 2023, fall well within our budgeted projections. The agreement also contains rights to continue distributing WeatherScan, which is on Channel 19 unlimited cable. The rate for WeatherScan will remain flat throughout the term of the agreement. No additional carriage requirements or obligations are included in this agreement. I'd be happy to answer any questions on this item.
Because what wasn't their original request? How much was it, Harvey? It was some huge percent, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, first they wanted us to launch 8 new channels on classic cable. And then if we declined to do that, it was a 400% increase. So we're happy to get to where we are today.
What happened? What happened to all those demands there, Harvey?
Well, the NCTC said, we're not sure if they're just throwing it against the wall to see what sticks. And I think that's what they think happened, and nothing stuck. So,
okay.
So do we have any questions?
I do have one question.
Yes,
Harvey,
sir.
I think when we talked about this a little bit last month, the idea that WeatherScan is still going to be around, correct? Is that there was some talk about, and I don't know if this was just their ploy. They were saying, well, that might not be around or whatever. I don't know if it was a negotiating point on their part, but they have committed to having that ready for or available for us.
Well, so they have been talking several years about, the fact that the WeatherScan may not be too long for the world, and they were unwilling to commit to maintaining it throughout the term of this agreement.
Okay.
So we are actively, and I think we found the solution. So we are actively working to find something we think is actually going to be an upgrade over WeatherScan, providing a similar type of service to our customers. We know it's super, super important. And
if we if we get to that point, can we drop WeatherScan, or are we going to keep WeatherScan as long as they push it?
The agreement has the ability for us to either drop it with notice or negatively migrate it, so we can move it to preferred cable and carry it until it ends, or we can drop it all together and save the money. So we have options.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Harvey? If not, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved. Channel agreements approved. Next one, consider approval number 6.5 of increasing rate for cable network pass-through fee, increasing rate for bulk cable and bulk cable 2, and updating cable 10 program duplication policy. This was the matter we had a public hearing on last month, and Mr. Snyder did an excellent job conducting that public hearing. So Harvey, you want to talk about it? Any comments,
Sure.
Any changes? What we got?
We haven't received any comments, so we're presenting the item as has been presented the last 2 months, with these proposed rate changes effective May 1st of 2022. Just a quick overview: we're proposing to change the cable network pass-through fee, which is again just a pass-through fee of the cable expenses, from $59.66 per month to $60.19 per month. So that's an increase of 53 cents. And then bulk cable 1 and 2 would increase at a percentage that matches that of our classic cable. And then finally, the cable 10 programming policy, that all programming recorded after July 1st, 2021 will only be available as digital files. And so we would update the tariff to reflect that change. Just again, as a reminder, you guys held that public hearing back on February 15th of 2022, and we have received no comments. So happy to answer any questions on this item.
Any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye. Well, first I need a motion.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second.
Well,
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Thank you, Mr. Couch.
Thank you.
Number 6.6, consider approval of release of easement, Hans and Charmista. And I do want to add on this one, this has some impact on an employee of Frankfurt Plant Board. And that person the board's been notified and our ethics commission's been notified and all the proper paperwork's been filed. Is that correct, Hans?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody. This is just a release of an easement. Unlike when the plant board receives an easement, we currently have one now, so that's why this is in front of the board. So it's a little bit unusual, reverse of the usual situation. As you noted, Mr. Chairman, we have an easement on Charmista's property right now. It's a 20-foot easement. Her neighbor has since developed the lot adjoining her lot. So this line will serve both properties. So the request is to shift this 10 feet either side of the property line. Operations has no issue with it. We've done this in the past. We don't often release easements. Last one I can recall has been about 15 years ago with the auto parts store that was it's up in front of Ty Smile. The plant board had an easement there, and then we released that easement when they started construction to kind of reconfigure how the facilities were getting into that property. So it's nothing we haven't done in the past, and this is all the documents are the same. There's really nothing different here that we would do for any other similarly situated customer. As you noted, I've sent an email to the ethics committee. Not received any objection, hey, wait a minute, have you looked at this? I would recommend approval of the release. So if anyone has any questions, I can address those.
And we're still going to have our 20-foot easement. Instead of being 20 on one side, it'd be 10 and 10, right?
Yes, sir. That's correct. That's correct.
So all property owners are whole. There's no financial advantage or gain by anybody. This is just shifting the easement on each side of it as opposed to all being on one side.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Any questions of Hans or Charmista? Okay, seeing none. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion's approved. Next one, item 6.7, approving creation of an economic analyst 1 and 2. Michelle?
Good evening, board chair and members of the board. At the May 2021 board meeting, board members approved the energy and operation analyst position. Staff, along with the direction from the board, has reevaluated this position. Based on Frankfurt Plant Board current needs, staff asked the board to approve eliminating the energy and operation analyst position and improving the economic analyst 1 and 2 position as replacements. The economic analyst 1 and 2 positions will be responsible for supporting the analytical, financial, policy, and risk management activities of the Frankfurt Plant Board. These positions will also support the electric, water, and telecommunication divisions and other areas as needed of the Frankfurt Plant Board with business planning and data analytics. Based on an evaluation of the job description, the classification for the economic analyst 1 is a grade 114 with a starting salary of $67,766. The economic analyst 2 is a grade 116 with a starting salary of $77,521. These positions will report directly to the general manager and are exempt positions. Human Resources will advertise for both positions, however, only hire one candidate. This individual compensation is based upon their education and experience. Hiring for one of the 2 economic positions will replace the energy and operation analyst, and there are funds included in the 21-22 budget year. The proposed job description and organizational chart are included on page 151 of the detailed pages for this board item. Does the board have any questions?
And I might ask Steve, I know you've worked closely with Michelle on this. the requirements and so forth, and want to make sure you've reviewed it and you feel comfortable with it, because I know you've had interest in this and you've been working with it. So
Yeah, I'm good. We've looked at it together. I mean, I just wanted something that was flexible, that could be used sort of like a utility person in baseball that can do it, pretty much everything. And some of these little jobs that we have that perhaps might take a consultant, maybe be able to be done in-house as opposed to sending it out. So yeah, I'm good. My only preference is I would prefer to try to get the position 2 versus 1, because whoever starts this has to have some, well, have more experience and education, that because they're going to have to learn and kind of be the trailblazer for the position.
gotcha. Any other questions for Nichelle or Steve? I don't want to put Steve on the spot, but any other questions for Nichelle, or will the gentleman from Franklin yield?
Of course.
John, yeah, this just predates me, so I just wanted a little history on this. And
sure.
Why the position for the energy and operations analyst was originally, set up, and then did we not fill that position, and now why are we kind of adjusting, and will there be overlap between that original position and the new economic analyst? I just wasn't around for the history of this.
Well, it actually goes back almost 2 budget cycles. And the idea was that we have so many, as Steve said, in the past, we've done a lot of consulting contracts and may still need to in the future. But kind of came along that for a lot of these areas, we needed somebody who could do like some of these short-term projects, data, call, gather information, look at things, get up to speed, contact other utilities, do research nationally. And we had some specs. And as I remember, Nichelle, we had some specs and didn't get any interest. And you and Steve have gone back and worked on it and kind of refined it. And we've kind of looked at what the job market was, the similar types of jobs in state government, and what that might attract, and have worked on that maybe this type of job description might attract candidates who'd be interested. And so we'll be going out testing the water. We did not get any interest in the first round. And so this drops back, and we may have been too specific on the first round, and this kind of makes it more of a generalist. Is that fair, Nichelle?
Yes, I agree.
No.
And does the economic analyst being broader encompass energy, but also water and other aspects?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'm good. I just wanted to understand.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
I have one question. Nichelle, will we be advertising this? We approve it tonight. We'll be advertising. When do we think we might be able to get somebody on board? Do you have any idea how long the process might take?
Just depending on how many applicants we receive, and then the general manager can review the applicants that we receive. So it could be anywhere from maybe 2 months or so. It just depends on the response that we receive once we advertise the job.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So chances are, even though it's in the current year budget, I'd say any expenses current year will probably be pretty minimal. Yeah, by the time we hire somebody, if they have to give notice and whatever.
Right.
Okay. Seeing no further questions, do we have a motion?
I guess I should make the motion.
Yes, you should.
I'll second.
We have a motion second. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Positions approved. Thanks for all your work on this, Nichelle. Next one is consider approving the revision of building and grounds maintenance worker position. Nichelle?
This request is a follow-up to a board-approved agenda item in December 2021 to utilize contractors for land care and snow and ice removal. Staff asked the board to consider approving the revision of the building grounds and maintenance worker position. Staff has decided to eliminate the building grounds supervisor position and revise the building and grounds maintenance worker position. The building grounds and maintenance worker position will continue to perform maintenance and repairs to FPB buildings and properties, along with bush hogging, weed eating, minimal lawn care maintenance, and will supervise outside contractors. Based on the evaluation of the updated job description, the recommended classification of the buildings and grounds maintenance worker position is a grade 107 with a minimum starting salary of $42,161. The proposed job description and organizational chart for the support services department are included on page 161 of the detailed pages for this board item. Support Services has remaining funds included in their current 21-22 budget for this revised position. Does the board have any questions?
And what do you think, Michelle or David or Vint, the net impact going forward on the budget is budget neutral or some savings, or what do you think the ongoing, once we get this position filled and we don't have to fill some of these other positions, which we always had difficulty doing, and then this person supervises contracts, what do we think the overall net impact on the budget is?
Mr. Cubon, when I presented the contracts in December, it was estimated about a $23,000 savings.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Leanne.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion's approved. Next, Mr. General Manager, what do you got for us?
I don't have a lot. Actually, we had a staff meeting together. I'm glad our county for the COVID related data shows we finally get into green instead of other color. So like you said, we are looking for in person for like even next meeting. We said is a March 23rd. Yes. And also the future board meeting. And also we are looking for the same period of time, maybe current, as you know, our customer can have a drive-through, they can come to us, to talk to us, and then they can be guided come to our office, right, at the hallway. And we are looking for a complete open too. So we're going to review it most likely same period of time. We will open that very soon. But currently, I want to repeat that again. There's not a single customer, if they need to access us, if they need to come into, they always can, even now. I mean, I just want to say that clearly. But we are looking for, I'm going to talk to my staff continually to say all the detailed, the genuine part, but we are planning to open our office completely. Yes.
And we definitely, I think, want to thank both Cassie and April for this whole time during COVID, what they've done for customers and answering questions, standing out in the parking lot in the dark, just everything. I mean, they've gone over and above every day to make sure people got served, and they've really done a fantastic job. So
working with a customer, particularly, they apply the state fund, encourage the customer to apply it, and there is, I forgot exactly number, 600,000 plus, 670,000. David can correct me. Significant amount assisting customer directly. I would say there are quite a bit of customer service being worked on that directly for the customer, encourage them to guide them direction and receive the fund from state directly, which is the customer can directly benefit. And also, as you know, our have an EBB program, currently other program we are looking for. I think they contact the customer every day, really encourage people, particularly as all you know, this program is not a temporary emergency program anymore. This has become a permanent program. My view, Ms. Cuba, I think most households qualify in this city. But we only have a 500 something apply. We should have for 30,000 people, should have more than half. Every household, if they have children, there are a high chance they already qualified. I really like some of the community members tell me, they said, I don't need that, but I will apply because turn around, I can donate more to the
Exactly.
community. I really like that answer, you know.
Jason, did you or Gary want to update the board on NRIL?
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. We had a really good meeting with the city manager, the Lane Wilkerson mayor, and Kelly May. I think it was last week. And we talked through a lot of issues, including NREL. And what we came to is they're moving forward with their phase one, which is focused on city operations, but also includes a higher survey of the city, of the community. And we've asked if we could potentially put a little money toward, or just have included in that scope, an expansion of that to include our footprint, so that we're making sure that anybody within the city and outside the city, as we strategically look at the results, it's an apples to apples, and we're kind of using the same ruler for both inside and outside the city. And everybody seems to be agreeable to that. I think they've signed the contract now, and they're about to start moving forward on that. And we stand ready to provide data and to have our staff answer any questions to help NREL as quickly as possible come to speed on how the community works and any major factors they need to understand to fully evaluate the opportunity.
And Jason, thank you, and Gary, for everything you've done on this. And Catherine, you kind of led the way on this last year, and with your resolution, and we appreciate everything you did too. So
You're welcome.
Ms. Cuban,
yes, sir.
Ms. Cuban, I had another conversation with city manager on Monday. Basically, you know, she just said something similar like what, you know, we've been discussing it, but she did ask me, you know, say, what's our plan, how much we plan to contribute to support our study. The whole overall cost is $50,000 for first phase one. What I said to her, which is I hope the board can give me direction. If you want to something differently, please let me know. What I said to her, I said, based on the past board discussing, our board tell me not last meeting, the meeting before that, said 15,000. We are okay to help on this study. That's kind of I said, that's what I understand. I definitely going to ask the board more direction on that. But that's kind of where we are. I just want to update you.
And I think we gave you the authority under your small purchase to work with the city and negotiate that, and that is within your small purchase authority. So, and I think the board gave you the direction to work with them and develop, you know, whatever the agreement might be to proceed on that. So.
Yeah, that was our, I think that was mine.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, we're 15,000 was a good amount.
Yeah. So, any other questions of Gary? What about the, anything you want to tell us? Anything you want to tell us, Miss Lindsay, that you may have done that you need to confess to us?
Oh, I'm always doing something, but it's always good, so no need to worry.
Okay, good. Anything?
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
Chairman, I wanted to bring up something under new business. Yeah. I got a notice. I've been working a little bit with Annette DuPont Ewing and KMUA on some various bills that have been going through the legislature, some advice and stuff. I got a notice. I attended their conference they had last summer, and just kind of been, you kind of tasked me to look into their operations, what they do. Their April meeting actually takes place after the legislative session ends. And I was just going to ask you if you wanted me to, you and the board wanted me to attend that again. And I didn't know what y'all's pleasure was. I'd be happy to do it. It would require an overnight stay, but you know, if y'all want me to do it, I would be in a position where I would be able to do it. So,
well, I mean, I think it's helpful to have somebody participate.
Very much so. Very much so.
What luxury place are they going to? In the
I think they're going to Rough River. I think they're going to Rough River.
Yes. Yes.
What's that now?
Go get the presidential suite.
No, I think Gary's already got that. So
okay. Yeah, I think it's a very luxury. I think it's $60. I forgot.
Yeah, right. I think so. Yeah.
Is everybody okay with John going?
Yes.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Long as you don't have to, Steve.
You're right. I've been to Rough River.
I know.
Have you noticed?
It's nice though. It's a nice place.
Yeah.
Have you noticed Steve's backdrop there? It's kind of, he's kind of got the mood set back there,
Yeah, I don't know what he's
No, I
famous at.
took Jason's suggestion. He looks like he's doing the same thing.
Okay.
I just
anything
learned a
else?
new
Miss
trick.
Chair, do
Yes,
we need a closed session or not?
Yes, sir.
Then I'd like to make a motion to request the chair to call closed session pursuant to KRS 61.810.1C to discuss pending or proposed litigation regarding an OSHA matter.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we're going into closed session. Zach, you want to let us know when we're clear? Okay, I need a motion to come out of closed session.
So
So
moved.
moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're out of closed session. There's no action to take. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Anybody opposed to ending the meeting now?
No, we
If
gotta
not,
see.
we're adjourned.
All
And we'll
right.
see everybody on the 23rd.
Great, thanks.
Everybody.